Today, as I share with you guys, that we'll have um, a well-known, like a famous YouTuber, Kenneth, Kenneth Choi, uh, uh, to our online prayer meeting.
Thank you for the introduction, Jahan. So, like he was saying, we met in 2013 at Andrews, and that was before he was married. That was when, before he had a kid, hopefully. No, of course, without a kid. And so we met in 2013. We went to Andrews together for a year, and that's where I know Teddy and Shion from too. So yeah, I was studying the MDiv at Andrews until this semester ended. So, yeah, a little bit about myself. I went to Andrews for undergrad, and then I taught math and science in Korea at a international high school for a year, and then I came back home for a year to take some other classes, and then I went to study in the seminary for 2 years. So that's what I've been doing up until now. And now I'm back in California, in Southern California, where I live with my family for now until I start med school in July. If it's not, well, we'll see what's happening with there. If it's online or not, who knows. But anyway, a little bit about myself, and it's nice to meet uh, all the new faces here today. So the talk that I wanted to give today, the question that I have for you guys is, um, have you hit rock bottom? So if you've been following the news lately, you'll know that our world and our country especially is in a state of extreme volatility. Stores are closed, people are without jobs, and the economy is, well, in my opinion, very heavily artificially propped up by a lot of government assistance right now. So with a lot of the chaos going around, we have to wonder, have the effects of the pandemic hit the lowest point yet? Or is there any lower to go? That's a question that a lot of market analysts are talking about right now. So if you look at the stock market prices, if you're interested in things like that, you'll notice that the prices uh, from the peak in February to the lowest point, it dropped about 30%. So if you owned let's say $100, now it's only worth $70, and that happened in the span of a couple weeks. So that's just for a small amount of money. Well, not small, but that's just for for that example. But anyway, the prices were down 30% from the peaks in February. So it's been a stressful time for a lot of people, people without jobs, people who have money invested in the market. So in addition to these market prices, people's hopes are going down. They're dropping as well, and we have to ask ourselves, have our hopes and expectations fallen as well in response to everything that's happening? So many of us have had certain experiences in our lives where things were cut short early. Um, well, this many of us have had expectations that we've had throughout this time in our lives where things are very different now than what we expected. You know, a lot of us, when the year 2020 started, everybody was saying that this is the year where a lot of amazing things are going to happen, where I'm going to live my best year yet. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get healthy. And a lot of people had a lot of expectations and hopes with the year 2020 being a very, sounds very iconic, as people referencing Vision 2020, etc. For many of us who are students, a lot of things change because, especially when you're in college, you know that the last few months of the school year are the most fun, and not to, make anybody try to be sad again, but you every all of us know that the last few months of the school year are the most fun because that things are coming to an end soon and you're not going to see your friends for several months. So if there's something fun that you want to do it during that time. And people who are not even as social tend to become more social during the time right before school gets out. So whatever that was, everybody's plans changed. Being a student at Andrews, a lot of us, we didn't get the chance to say goodbye to people around us. We just were told on Wednesday night that Wednesday before spring break started on Friday, so 2 days before spring break started, we were told that school was closing, or not closing. School was we were all told to return back to our homes, and we all sort of only had 2 days to say our goodbyes. So things were crazy. Um, and after coming back home, I realized that I was not happy with the way things ended. There were people that I didn't get to say bye to, and that was the main thing. It's just the abrupt ending was just something that I was not expecting. And after coming back home to California for a good several days to a week, um, to be honest, I felt very empty inside. Like something was missing. Like everything that was routine and regular was no longer there. It's like the rug being pulled out underneath my feet. And I'm sure many of us have felt this way too during this time. Now, I want to point to an example in the Bible of a character who seemed to have everything going for themselves, and yet, against all expectations, they had everything taken away from them. Now, there's several individuals that probably fit this description, but the one that I have in mind is Joseph. Joseph was loved by his father and was on track to becoming a very influential person. However, his brothers were very incredibly jealous of him, and they did whatever they could to make sure he didn't reach that success. So he was climbing up in his personal life, and in a single instance, everything changed. This is similar to, there's parallels with what's happening to us right now. And so let's consider how we've been reacting to our situation versus how Joseph reacted to his situation. Now, when I first came home, I don't think that I reacted to the situation very well because I was complaining a lot and I felt like I had a lot of time, but at the same time, I wasted a lot of it by spending a lot of time on YouTube and playing chess and just a lot of mindless things that you do to just distract yourself. And I'll be honest, it's sort of difficult to be motivated when we're always just by ourselves and without a lot of accountability and people around us, and with especially with increased screen time. I'm not used to. I'm sure a lot of us are not used to this either, but I'm not used to spending like all day, every day, just on the computer to do my work because there's like interactions with people that are all online as well now, including even Zoom. I'm sure a lot of us may be zoomed out at this point as well. I know I was, especially when I was constantly tuning into my classes on Zoom all the time. So when we think about our own situation in comparison to Joseph's, we may feel discouraged by a lot of things that are going on, but in comparison to what Joseph went through, we have a lot more control. We have the ability to be at our homes. to be with, hopefully, with our family, and to have food and, at least control over our daily lives and what we want to do with our time. Joseph didn't have any of that. He he just had everything taken away. He was sold into slavery. And so, we might think of our own lives, like, have we hit the low point of this pandemic already? Or is it still, are things gonna get worse? And with Joseph, at his point, when his own brothers sold him into slavery, that's just so messed up. That was the time when he never really, well, we don't hear about it. He was faithful, and he worked hard, and the Lord was with him. And so my what I gained from this is that, if Joseph, who was going through such a drastic time period in his life, was not growing discouraged, but he was staying faithful to his purpose and his goals, and staying faithful to God and people around him. And he was doing the best that he could. If Joseph could do that with all the freedom that was taken away from him, although we're limited by this pandemic, there's a lot of things that we could do during this time. And I'm speaking to you guys, but I'm speaking to myself as well, because I know that there's a lot more I could be doing during this time. But the biggest thing is, like, personal growth, working on projects that we've been putting off or we never really had time for, like, um cleaning or reorganizing our room, calling and checking up on our friends. There's a lot of things that we can actually do during this time. But the most important thing that I really think that we could do during this time is to focus on developing a relationship with God. And, because if you think about it, what other time will we have that could potentially be this peaceful? I know it's somewhat ironic to say peaceful, because it's not necessarily a peaceful situation that we have going around, but, with a lot more time on our hands, and being in a place where we are technically in our comfort zone at home, what better time than now to be spending time to spend time with God and spend time growing in our relationship with Him spiritually. And so that's the challenge that I want to leave with all of us today. And I wanted to give us this principle to keep in mind, that we should be proactive instead of being reactive. This is what Stephen Covey says in his book, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Effective people don't wait for something to come to them. They take opportunities as they come, as they're presented to them, and then they take it. So let's keep that in mind. Let's be proactive. And you may have hit rock bottom already. I feel like I I feel like I've hit rock bottom at one point or another. But just as Joseph was thrown into the pit by his brothers, awaiting his fate, you might be feeling like that. You might be feeling discouraged and lonely or frustrated or whatever. But let's take this opportunity to really spend time to take time with God. And in Genesis chapter 39, verse 2, it says that the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. So in a situation where we expect him to be at his lowest low, that was when God was with him, and he prospered during that time. So if you feel discouraged, if you feel like, there's just things are just not going the way you want, let's just remember that the Lord was with Joseph, and the Lord will be with us now during this time. So let's make sure to stay in tune with him. That's the message and challenge that I want to give to all of you, all of us today. So bow our heads for a closing prayer. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity for me to be here with this Wednesday night discussion group. I pray for each of the members here that you would bless them during this time, and that you would allow each person to experience growth and just have a positive experience getting to know you better throughout everything that's happening. Be with those of us who might be dealing with things, personal issues, and be with those of us who that are still working as well, trying to make ends meet, and whatever it is that we have going on, we know that you are here with us. And so help us to best use our time to and take advantage of this opportunity to really, like Jaehyun was saying, to see what we could do to help others and to get to know other people and help those in need as well around us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Kenneth, for sharing good words of God, message, and music. Shall we give him hands? Yeah, or maybe you could sometime visit here, right, Kenneth?
Yeah, one day when you invite me.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Oh, by the way, we didn't have time to mention about it, but Kenneth has his own YouTube channel, Yummy Piano. So you can see his music more. There's a lot of good music over there, right? So
Thank you for the plug.
Kenneth and I are gonna collab soon.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Kenneth, Taejong subscribed, and he didn't even know you.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. That's awesome.
That's funny. All right, was happy to see you guys. Have a good rest of the week, and then see you guys on Sabbath.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.